Greetings, cherished audience. Today, we assemble to commemorate the many facets of love and to unearth the enigmatic keys to nurturing profound connections. In a swift dash, Jonathan hurried homeward. Concluding his business trip ahead of schedule, he embraced the serendipity of welcoming the new year alongside his cherished spouse. Their abode nestled within a newly erected edifice, a place that Jonathan had procured shortly before their matrimonial vows, symbolizing the genesis of a jubilant shared life. Anticipating that Amelia, his beloved partner, hadn't orchestrated any festivities for the eve, heeding her words from a prior phone conversation where she had planned to slumber through the arrival of the new year. She espoused a sentiment that the merriment would lack luster in his absence. Thus, the instant Jonathan touched down at the airport, he arranged for a meal from a local eatery and secured blossoms and bubbly libations. Upon arriving home, he traversed the entrance with a hushed caution to not rouse his resting wife. Safeguarding the parcels within the kitchen, Jonathan gingerly eased open the bedroom door, only to find Amelia's absence. Swiftly dialing her number, an echo of silence lingered on the line. A disconcerting perplexity enveloped him, for her social circles within the city remained scant. Their initial meeting was through an online dating platform, with Amelia relocating from a distant urban enclave. Now adrift, Jonathan grappled with the abyss of her whereabouts. His fervent calls persisted, yet the phone remained impervious to his pleas. As the moments slipped by, amidst the anticipation of the restaurant's fare and the task of embellishing the Christmas tree, Jonathan endeavored to pacify himself with the notion that Amelia likely embarked on a shopping expedition. After arranging the table, he resolved to extend his felicitations to his closest companion, Nicholas. Furthermore, he aimed to retrieve the car he had entrusted to Nicholas for use during his absence. With just a pair of blocks separating them, Jonathan swiftly arrived at Nicholas's residence. A vehicle was parked beneath the window, and the glow of lights inside assured Jonathan of his friend's presence. Repeated presses of the doorbell yielded no response. Conjecturing that Nicholas was once again immersed in his headphones and lost in music, Jonathan escalated his efforts by resorting to a sequence of insistent knocks and rings. Ultimately, the door creaked open, revealing Nicholas with a perplexed countenance. Deeming himself welcome, Jonathan entered the foyer uninvited and was poised to convey New Year's greetings to his friend when an unexpected sight befell him: an unmistakable fur coat, a recent gift from Jonathan to his wife. Driven by an impulse, he hastened to the bedroom, forcefully parting the door to encounter Amelia reclined on the bed, swathed in a blanket. Her eyes met her husband's, a scream escaping her lips. Though void of words, her visage radiated an unyielding demeanor as she retreated to the hallway. In a swift, determined motion, she secured Jonathan's coat and car keys, executing a sudden about-face to deliver a decisive blow, rendering Nicholas unconscious. Subsequently, he exited the apartment of his erstwhile best friend. Bursting onto the street, his eyes fell upon an unexpected sight: a wicker basket perched atop his car's hood. Alarms resounded throughout the vicinity, while a fleeting figure, a woman, hastily distanced herself from the scene. Jonathan's voice pursued her, alerting her to the forgotten item, yet her retreat remained unstayed as he neared the vehicle. Within the basket, a baby's tiny squeal reverberated, dawning on Jonathan the magnitude of the situation. In pursuit of the woman, his efforts proved futile, as she dissolved into the labyrinth of the urban landscape. Resigned to his quandary, he nestled the basket into his car and directed himself toward the nearest police station, the eve of the new year looming. Upon arrival, a duty-bound officer met his query with reluctance, compelling Jonathan to endure a wait of uncertain purpose. Left without guidance, he opted for self-initiated action. Unveiling the cover atop the basket, he unveiled documents revealing the infant's identity. Leveraging his connections, Jonathan reached out to an old acquaintance, beseeching aid in uncovering the address of the baby's mother, as indicated on official records. His acquaintance, though initially resistant due to ongoing celebrations, eventually relented and procured the essential information, sharing it with Jonathan within a brief span of 10 minutes. Expressing gratitude, Jonathan wasted no time, journeying straight to the address provided. There, a modest dwelling stood within a less affluent precinct of the town. Jonathan's insistence on the doorbell yielded no response. At the threshold, an unfamiliar aroma assailed his senses, a scent discerned as gas. Swift realization coupled with instinct prompted him to strike the door with added force. Employing his sleeve as a makeshift filter, he navigated through the door and onto the kitchen floor. There, a young woman, tears flowing, confronted the source of the perilous fumes. Hastening to action, Jonathan intervened by shutting off the gas and ventilating the room through opened windows. A query regarding her departure ensued, met with a nod of agreement, laden with trepidation. Safely extricated from the precarious environment, he directed her into the rear seat of his vehicle, already occupied by a basket cradling an infant. Facing her, he outlined the journey to his residence, asserting its inevitability. Upon their arrival, the woman's emaciated countenance struck Jonathan, the weight of sleepless nights and unfulfilled meals etched upon her visage. Offering a glass of water, swiftly drained, Jonathan delved into the heart of the matter. Her question echoed through the air, why he had intervened to liberate her from her previous life. Her response emerged measuredly, gaze averted, pondering the unfolding chapter. Jonathan's reply mirrored stern resolve, punctuated with a demand for eventual clarity. The narrative commenced, her name unveiled as Jade, guided by austere upbringing and mentored by none other than Nicholas. As Jade's account unfolded, a torrent of emotion engulfed her, cascading into tears she could no longer restrain. Jonathan, patient in his demeanor, allowed her the space to regain composure before she wove her tale. The backdrop revealed a life laden with constraints, her upbringing shaped by stringent parents and the influence of Nicholas himself. Upon her graduation, she embarked on her internship, coinciding with his courtship. His offerings of flowers and eloquent words wove a tapestry of enchantment. On her birthday, he beckoned her to his abode, where wine flowed for the first time. Intoxication enveloped Jade. The sun's ascent saw them entwined in the same bed. An ensuing chill pervaded Nicholas's demeanor, leaving Jade confounded. Revelation of her pregnancy met stark dismissal from Nicholas, who deemed it a predicament solely her own. Initially inclined towards abortion, Jade's convictions pivoted as she grappled with the concept of extinguishing life. As her belly burgeoned, her parents expelled her from their dwelling, shrouding their actions in shame. A resolute refusal to relinquish her child defined her stance. Support from others facilitated preparations for the impending arrival, and postpartum, she sought sanctuary within her grandmother's ancestral home. The sands of time drained her finances, leaving her in deprivation. Sustenance grew scarce, and her parents extended a conditional olive branch, aid contingent on her ceding the child to an orphanage. In the depths of desperation, Jade reconnected with Nicholas, yet his response condemned her to solitude, culminating in the heart-wrenching decision to entrust the child to his father. Despondency enveloped her, rendering life unbearable. Jonathan, wrestling with disbelief that his childhood companion could manifest such callousness, implored her to find solace. An infant's cry disrupted the discourse, prompting Jade to gather the child, tears mingling with her remorse for lacking essentials. Sensing her plight, Jonathan left the room only to return 5 minutes later with a sizable bag. His sister had bestowed a collection of items from her grown sons, meant for a charitable cause, yet Jonathan's demanding schedule impeded their delivery to a fundraiser for the less fortunate. Gratitude radiated from Jade's gaze as she cradled the infant to her chest, her affection for the child palpable. Observing the dwindling hours toward the new year, Jonathan proposed a transformation for the momentous occasion, changing the baby's attire and inviting her to clothe herself in one of his ex-wife's dresses if she wished. The task of laying out refreshments and uncorking champagne beckoned him to the kitchen. Post-nourishing the baby, Jade joined him in the kitchen, her gratitude expressed through subdued words. Thus, the table was adorned, champagne effused, and televised felicitations commenced. As the clock's hands inched towards midnight, Jonathan extended his New Year's wishes to Jade, realizing he had neglected to introduce himself properly. A nascent smile graced Jade's lips as she reciprocated the sentiment. An infant's peaceful slumber provided the backdrop to Jonathan and Jade's conversation that unfurled until dawn, revealing a soul so untarnished, naive, and delicate. Proposing that Jade remain with him for a while, Jonathan's offer garnered gratitude. 5 years elapsed, weaving an intricately interwoven tapestry of shared existence. On a park bench, they sat, Jonathan, Jade, their son, and daughter, a picture of contentment. The scene was interrupted by a disheveled, forlorn figure in threadbare attire, eyes transfixed on the harmonious tableau. Gaze shifting between Jonathan, Jade, and the children, he pondered the lives that had evolved from past circumstances. Abruptly, he surged to his feet, striding purposefully toward their seated trio. Jonathan and Jade instantly recognized Nicholas. Similarly rising, the newcomer asserted himself, declaring with a hint of triumph that he had long suspected the true parentage of Jade's child. His ensuing lament recounted a marriage to Jonathan's ex-wife, riddled with futility, and a costly divorce that siphoned half of his savings. Urgently, Jonathan drew his ex-friend aside, a whispered exchange transpiring before he retreated without delay. Curiosity piqued, Jade inquired of her husband's conversation with Nicholas. Jonathan's response danced on the edges of mystery, eluding her inquiry as he affectionately kissed her. Embracing their children, they ventured forth together, leaving behind the echoes of a past that no longer held sway. Thank you for watching and listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something from it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. And don't forget to share your thoughts and feedback in the comments below. Have a great day and see you next time.